Today I wanted to talk a bit more about myself and the life-changing decisions I'm currently doing and the kind of switch in careers I'm considering from, well, academic researcher, immunologist to what I would consider to be healer, you know. You could call it life coach or anything else, but at the end of the day, I think it's guiding people through their lives, through their struggles, whatever they might be, you know. I think it has a lot to do with energetic healing, so that's why I think healer, you know, like making people happy, changing their frequency, helping them through whatever they're going through. I consider that to be a healing profession. So, as I mentioned several times, you know, first of all, like the background of academia, where I was, the decision to go into academia or to go into research, I think it's at its deepest, I think it's rooted in the fact that I've explored the nature of reality in several lifetimes. That's at least that's what I know to be true, and it's what I feel deep inside. And so this interest, this curiosity to understand or to re-understand, to go through that again, led me to become a scientist. I was interested in kind of learning how the body works, about medicine and things like that. At the end of the day, I became a biologist, immunologist to be precise. Did my PhD in biomedical research and then really focused on the immune system the rest of my career. I mean, that part of my life actually extended through several decades, you know, kind of spent 10 years at university till getting my PhD, which lasted 5 years itself. And then obviously several years of postdoctoral research, and then at the end, like leading my own lab, leading my own research, and where I ran a bit after the money, to be honest. Where in the context of the New Zealand science system, you can't exactly do what you want to do, so you kind of have to run a bit after what's given to you or what's provided. Since it's a fairly small country and it's a fairly small budget, you know, in R&D, and New Zealand doesn't spend a whole lot in research and development. I must say that I accumulated quite a bit of frustration, especially as a principal investigator, because even though I was never really funded to do exactly what I wanted, I came across some interesting things that kind of redirected my interest into other things. And unfortunately, I'm always intrigued and interested by things that people do not want other people to look at, like side effects or things that might not necessarily be good. So one of the things I stumbled upon, and this has been published as a hypothesis, is, well, how could potential side effects of folic acid fortification in foods, how do those side effects might be mechanistically linked, you know, how to explain that. And we had some observation in my lab that led to us to believe that there's a very specific mechanism. But again, it's like, and I don't have proof for that because I never got the money to really prove it, you know. So we have decent evidence, but enough to actually warrant further exploration. But it was never got funded. Then I also came across interesting results in terms of vaccination side effects, and I wasn't even looking for them. I was completing a study looking at how nutrition and dietary fiber is linked to the responsiveness to the flu shot, to the seasonal flu shot that some of you or not might get every year. And we also came across some interesting observation that are linked to the microbiome. But again, and I know that it was shut down because, you know, usually you submit something and then it goes through several stages, and I know for a fact that it has been shut down immediately without even understanding the mechanism that I was proposing that's behind it, which was actually quite fascinating. So that there is this element of frustration. At the same time, so that's not enough. As scientists, you are almost, if you don't bring a high level of resistance and resilience to frustration, you're never going to make it as an academic scientist. You're always frustrated. You're asking for money that you might not get. That's frustration because you have to resubmit and do work for nothing. The mere fact of publishing, it's an act of frustration because you submit, then some reviewers might say, well, the authors clearly didn't understand X, Y, and Z. Yeah, thank you for that. Anonymously, of course, because you wouldn't know who it is. So as a scientist, you're resilient anyway. So it's not that's only the only thing that really drives me out of academic science, but it was more that spiritual pull towards actually doing something that is fulfilling. I'm a passionate scientist. It could have been fulfilling as well if I had the chance to really pursue the things that really interest me. But after a while, just running after the money. Oh, we're launching a new program for X, Y, and Z, and there's X millions of dollars to do it. Constantly realigning yourself to the things that other people tell you that are worthwhile studying. That's not something I actually want to do. That's not very fulfilling. So it was like a natural end to things. Also moving away from New Zealand and relocating to Europe, where I'm originally from. Kind of gave me the opportunity to do a clean break, and that's where I thought it's now or never. So I very recently launched also my website that you can find in the description box below. If you want to have a look at it, it's still a little bit under construction. So I just started, and I definitely need to upskill in terms of learning how to build a website and everything like that, because I'm doing everything myself. But that process itself kind of relaunched me into, well, how am I presenting myself? Can people know where I'm coming from? How will people see if they resonate with what I am about, what I can provide? And so that there was this reflection in the past few weeks. Why am I doing? What's my why? And what do I stand for? Because that needs to be kind of transparent. If people don't get that, they don't want to interact with me as a person, as a soul. So it's this mix of really letting go of one aspect of my life and really plunging, doing like a trust fall into something else that I know from a soul's perspective is actually what I'm supposed to do here. I think my career in science, although it's not completely finished, I'm still kind of working on publications I need to get out from all the work we've done in the previous years. But yeah, there seems to be that switch in career, and the science allowed me to, on the side, really develop that spiritual side. And so I think that spiritual side wasn't ready years ago. I think it only recently became really ready to come through. So everything is in divine timing. It's not that I wasted my any time in academia. I think it's been highly valuable, and also gave me a very, very broad knowledge base, which I could potentially apply later. But yeah, so that spiritual side, that's always been present. I was born with it. I never felt home here at all. Like the way I always felt like, wait, what is this? And what are people doing here? That's so weird. How they need to communicate verbally. I'm almost like an energetic communicator. It doesn't obviously work here very well because you just don't never get an answer. You're just sending out energies and nothing comes back because there's not a whole lot of people that are like me, I assume. So I always felt that spiritual side of trying to understand, okay, what is this here? To reinvent the wheel. As I said, I must have come through various lifetimes with doing the same thing. And as a scientist, there was this double whammy, or like almost, whereas academia is really, and as a scientist, you need to, what can you measure, what's tangible. But on the other side, I had this kind of almost double life where I was digging deep into all these spiritual subjects. And you can read more about, maybe that early aspect of my life in my book that you can. It's for free. You can read for free on my website. There's a separate page where you can read. It's not a very, very long book, but it's decently long. You get some feedback about myself. So I always wanted to know, okay, what is reality? And that's why it was so important for me to define it. Okay, what are my beliefs? If I don't believe what all that stuff is, what people tell me, what are actually my beliefs, and where do they come from? And there was this double whammy of, well, in science you don't talk about these things anyway, because then you're looked at like, oh, that guy's a bit crazy. But then I also felt that it took time for me to develop the ability to actually talk about these things. And whether you believe it or not, I think there's definitely, I had past lives where probably been burned at the stake for saying, things are a bit out there, and I think throat chakra blockage and all that stuff, I think definitely played also a role in divine timing of when am I ready to actually talk about these things, and now seem to be ready. So here we go. Next to that really weird disconnect I always felt ever since I was born, or ever since I thought I could think, where I never really felt at home here. It also came with, although I didn't understand what was going on, I felt everything. So I'm a deep empath. So I can feel energies, and I can put myself 100% in an energy. I don't necessarily have to go through similar things, but I can sense what people are going through, where they are. And it took me a while to realize that most people cannot do that. As a child particularly, you think, oh well, I'm doing these things, well, surely everyone else can do it. But after a while, you go through adulthood and you realize, hang on, everyone's different, or I'm different, or I'm not sure what's going on, but we all seem to have a different ability here. Although intrinsically everyone has the same abilities, you're just born with a different set, or you're born to experience it, or born to have a different experience. So the ability to feel, of course, that comes with an entire different set of challenges, especially as a man. Women are more empathetic generally. It's not a rule, but typically the feminine energy is more empathetic. So it took me a while to set boundaries, because I also kind of enjoyed it. I kind of enjoyed the absence of boundaries, where I was just like sometimes in bloody la la land, like syncing with other energies and getting lost in them. There was this kind of double-edged enjoying, and like it felt painful as well. But I had this deep empathy, not only for humans, but for the world in general. I perceived energies from all kinds of sources. And that led me to all of that, well, the perception of my reality, which that's why I wrote that book, my book, which is entitled My Perception of Reality, because that came into my framework. I had to almost write it down. I didn't mean to write a book at all. I keep getting confused. I need to write things down, how I perceive it, because I keep doing the same mistakes, so keep thinking the same things, and then I do the same loop that I've done like a year ago, something like that. So I wrote things down, especially for myself, and just to keep track of, hang on, where am I? Because I sometimes like to get lost, that there's some painful things there, but I've got a lot of water energy, so water is like, can be one of its shadow side is like to get lost, not knowing where you're going. But it allowed me also to explore quite a few things, and especially like and I've posted about that, like some of my work in relational presence, where you actually are connecting with humans on a deeper level, or there's this commitment, this agreement that we meet here to actually limit the barriers and really talk about what our experience is. That also solidified my perception that there's a lot of pain in this world, a lot of pain. Now in relational presence type of exercises, there's no agreement that somebody's going to help you, or that's actually not the point at all. You're not supposed to say, oh yeah, well, if you're dealing with that, I would recommend doing X, Y, and Z. So that's not the point. So that's something I realize that that's not the point, but that's at the same time I realize this is my calling. This is what I want to be doing, because, well, not only because I'm good at it, but because I almost feel like, based on my spiritual development, I'm almost like an agent. I'm like acting like an agent of divinity, trying to bring back its pieces together. That's a deep yearning I have for that. It must be rooted in some kind of divine, getting back to the singularity, go out, bring the pieces to where they initially came from. I think that's what I feel. And I seem to, one part of me, would have loved to just continue in academia, just to not necessarily interact with a whole lot of people, just being in nature, being energetically stable, get enough money to run a big lab and just publish and be by myself and be happy. Part of me would have definitely liked that. So it's not necessarily that I'm seeking all that stuff, it's just my soul that drags me through that, because it's like, hey, no, you're not supposed to do that. We have to go that way, because that was the plan all along. So that's the way I'm going, doing that little bit of a trust fall. And, well, how do I know that I'm good at it, Because at the end of the day, not sure there can be diplomas, or there can be things that tell you that you're good. I think at the end of the day, you just need to, it's people that will tell other people how good you are at these things, whether you're able to heal them or whether you're able to help them. So the proof will be in the pudding in the future. To be honest, I don't know exactly where that ability comes from. It's just that, based on that empathy that I alluded to previously, I put myself in various energetic positions that weren't mine, but I mimicked other people. I followed other people into these sometimes dark places. But then there was this kind of, it was this almost this, I wouldn't call it the game, but it was this, well, let's call it a game. This game, an energetic game I kind of played with myself, where I used other people to access spaces that weren't necessarily nice, put myself in their shoes with the best of my ability, also based on what I knew about what the situation was and how they behaved, and I felt the pain, and then once I was there, I detached myself, and then I climbed back out of the hole myself. I'm like, okay, I'm here. So energetically, you can put yourself in another person's shoes. Like, the energy is the same. It doesn't mean that your life circumstances will have to be the same, but energetically you can put yourself, and that's the point. Like, the energetic healing, it's, you need to bring back their energy, and it's not necessarily that you will do it for them, but they will do it for themselves. But you can lead the energetic path. You can say, this is the path energetically. And then the physical reality matches that. It's not that you change the physical reality and then suddenly, oh yeah, everyone's happy again. No, that's not how it works. Like, especially for deep wounding, like you fetch them, like, or you go there energetically and teach them how to energetically get out of that, climb out of that hole, and then all the rest will match. So I did that energetic climbing out of various situations. And so that took, although I call it a game, that took a toll. I mean, I was that wasn't an easy life, you know. I kind of, in my physical world, I felt like almost I need to become like a perfectionist, like almost an OCD, a control freak, where I had to control my external environment in such a way so that I could have everything run smoothly on the physical side, so I could just lose myself in these energetic things where I just lost myself, you know, and almost like was in autopilot with the rest. And because I'm fairly, you know, intellectual, I could do that, you know, being on autopilot, even doing research, it's like, wasn't a big deal, you know. And intellectually I was never really pushed to my limits. So, but there was this side, this shadow side of controlling everything, which after a while obviously let go. Took me a while. There's still a bit of remnant of that, you know. I like to control things, or I like to plan things, and I also played a lot with my mind as well, because part of that energetic retrieval of different situations, that it also is based on the mind, because a lot of ways how you manipulate energy is based on beliefs. And so the mind and the energetic state go hand in hand. So you need to play around with both. So one can result in the other. So typically, like, your energetic state, based on your physical, or based on your life circumstances, a lot of it has to do with beliefs. Well, you're in that energy because you have this belief about your past, about your present, about your potential future. So a lot has to do with the mind. And so there was a lot of work for me to do to understand, okay, how can you actually use the mind to get yourself out of energetic dire situations or trauma? It is to some extent hard. It's hard to teach, and it will be hard to learn, because it's painful to let go of identification, even if the nature of the identification is painful. Example, you know, I'm defining this happened to me in the past, so this has to be part of my identity. Well, no, it doesn't. So there's a belief aspect to what you identify with, and so there's a lot to let go in that context to be able to heal. And so I believe that I have the tools. I've been given the skill set. I've been given the gift. Hardly one. I've been given a gift to, and I believe that it's obviously hardly one in this lifetime, but I came already with quite a few packages from previous lifetimes. It's not the first time I'm doing this. So I've been able to learn fairly quickly. You know, I only need a few pointers, and then oh yeah, well that's how it, that's how you get out of this. That's how you get out of this. So I don't believe that I've been able to do all these different scenarios. I don't think in one lifetime is enough to ever be able to do that. So I'm here to share the gifts that I've accumulated across several lifetimes, and probably at some stage it cost my life in other lifetimes to actually accumulate those gifts. So yeah, it's this trust fall. It's not easy, I would say. You know, it's also healing is circular, and I think I'm doing my own healing. You know, like nothing's ever complete. It's definitely this lack of income. Really living like right now, I just pay attention, you know, to my finances, you know, because there's no income, there's nothing. Working on a website and just not looking for jobs, you know, that might be able to pay something. That definitely is spinning me through another loop of, you know, really being in the moment, you know, because it's actually the first time where things are really uncontrolled, and my soul is pointing at me towards that, you know, like, oh yeah, well now I think we need to let go of all this control thing, you know, knowing where your salary is going to come from next week, knowing that you will have a retirement plan, you know, later on, you know, I'm letting go of all that. So I'm definitely going on another loop of being in the moment, and it's fine to say that linear time doesn't exist, but now I'm on that highest level of knowledge of that concept, of actually living it, and trusting and being really in that energetic embodiment that I'm gonna make a career of myself. I am the gift. I am the product, and what I have to give is very valuable. And not only that, but it's valuable in terms of I want to give it away. It's just once you really go deep enough in your spirituality and you really understand the concept of, well, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters, the only thing that ever is the energy of love. So and love, I kind of love and hate that kind of word, because it's this word, oh love, well, lovey-dovey, what the fuck are you talking about, especially for men, right? But love it's in that in those spiritual, high level spiritual experiences. Love is just the frequency. It's just the frequency, but it's just the highest one. It's just the pure potential. So I almost think we should call it something else. But that's of course. But at the same time, that's exactly also the energy you're sharing if you are in love, or if you share that energy with other humans. So I guess it's fine. But yeah, it's just being in that highest frequency possible. That's the only thing that matters. And once you're in there, that's where time doesn't matter anymore. Nothing else matters anymore. So I'm really seeking that. Just as I've said several times, I believe I have the feeling it's my last lifetime, at least on Earth, and so. That might sound kooky to you, but that's what I know to be fairly accurate, I think. Although my mind always plays tricks as well, so I would never say 100%, because I'm still relying on a physical brain and it has its flaws. But yeah, I wanna embody my highest timeline, and so this embodiment of love. It's the only thing I'm going for. I'm just moment to moment seeking intuition. I didn't know that I would be doing this post today. Where was I? I was grabbing a coffee this morning, and I was on the bike, and I went to the gym earlier this morning, and that's where it hit me. You know, I was in between sets. You know, I was like, oh, you think about the future, like, oh, you're stressed about not having enough money, blah blah blah. And then I'm like, okay, let's focus on being present. So while I was at the gym, I focused on that, and that kind of followed me throughout the day. Then I went for coffee, and then I'm like, oh yeah, you actually have to share a bit more about yourself. You know, people need to get to know you, because that's, at the end of the day, I'm not selling anything, but there's some practical aspects in this lifetime, that's, well, practical aspects of, well, sharing this on YouTube. YouTube is a platform, you know. There's some practical aspects to these things. And also, like, if you, in terms of, you know, manifestation, or really reaching your highest timeline, of course, in energetic embodiment, just being in that energy that you feel, that's one thing. But then there's also physical action, and there's emotion. Do you actually trust? Like, it's fine to say, oh yeah, well, that's my energy, you know, I'm really wanting to be blah blah blah. But if you're scared, if you don't fully trust it, that's gonna throw some spans in the loop there. And if you don't act on it, well, I mean, it's fine. Like, yeah, energetically you will attract things, but it may just not manifest really quickly, or not even at all, if you don't act upon it. So there's action. There's me talking to you guys. So it's fine if I'm sitting on my bike and I'm thinking about all these things, but it needs to be acted upon. So there's different aspects to manifestation. There's a lot has to do with energy and energetic embodiment. But you act upon it, and then also trust it. And trust, same thing, you know, being in the present, like attracting in the moment, because the moment is all there is. Yeah, my brain tells me there's linear time, and where I'm gonna be in 10 years, you know, will I have enough money? Should I go back to academia where I have a secured salary? Blah 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 blah. You know, I'm not immune to all these things. But I have different options. I'm choosing the right option. So it's not easy at all. Which keeps me always on my toes, you know, and that's what I keep honing my skill, that I will be able to help people with, you know. It's not that I don't feel anything. I feel everything. It's just that I put a whole lot of work to navigate these energies and these emotions, so I can get out of it. I don't even want to be devoid of problems for the rest of my life. Of course, at some stage I think it will self-resolve, you know, but I still want to be, I think part of it is always to be there with the people, you know. You're not somewhere in like a fucking guru, like, oh yeah, somewhere in Nirvana, and people just like touching your feet. No, yeah, I'm in the thick of things, you know. I'm in the midst of things, like you guys are as well. But I'm able to navigate this terrain because I've been navigating it for quite a few decades now, and I seem to be able to find my way out always, until the next plunge. So yeah, I wanted just to share a few things about myself, you know, just so that we can get to know each other a bit better, or that you can get to know me a bit better, and see where I'm coming from. And every once in a while, like last post, you know, I felt kind of compelled to talk about my great field of immunology, which I'm really still very passionate about, because I think it's bloody awesome. It's super complicated, but it's bloody awesome. I still love it. I'm still reading papers and things like that, so it still keeps my mind occupied. But at the end of the day, it's really that spiritual aspect that I really want to pursue. If I can do a little bit of science on the side, you know, I'll always do it, because it's enjoyable for me, and I can keep my brain busy, you know. Every once in a while it needs a bit of a, like, yeah, you're annoying me with all your, like, going into the future and the past. Let it go, read a paper, go do something, and leave me alone. So it needs to be, it's a bit like an ADHD child, you know. It it can't just be sitting idle there. Otherwise, it takes too much energy to keep it calm. So it's good to keep it a bit entertained. So yeah, that was a bit more about me, and feel free to ask questions in the comments if you want me to expand on anything, like usual. Much love and take care. See you in the next one.